Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this Christmas card. I shared it on my blog the other day and somebody asked if I could make a video showing how it was done. I've since made another one, basically the same, except for this one I've used larger pine cones because in this set you get the choice of larger or smaller. And on the inside I wasn't very happy with this one. I'd used a couple of die cuts, which is from the same set with the pine cone, so I've changed that on this one and I've used the stamp to get the branches and then a pine cone. So I'm going to do that today, and also when I start putting the card together, because I've already done all my pine cones, I'm going to see what it would look like if I had one large pine cone and two small ones. So I might change that, might not, but I'm definitely going to try and get my branches looking like this one because I preferred this layout as it's come across more rather than down on this one. I think I know what I have to do, so let's give it a try and see where we go with it. Right, to start off with, I'll tell you the card pieces you're going to need. You need a card base that's 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, scored and folded at 4 1/8. That's 21 by 14.5 centimetres, scored and folded at 10.5 centimetres. And then you need 2 pieces of old olive, and that should be 3 3/8 inches by 5 inches, which is 8.5 by 12.7. And then you need 2 pieces of Whisper White, which measure 3 1/4 inches by 4 7/8 inches, which is 8.2 by 12.4 centimetres. And then you'll need a piece of Crumb Cake Cardstock, and this really depends on whether you want small cones or larger cones, but the size of the cardstock must be a minimum of 1 3/4 inches by 6 1/2 inches, which is 4.5 by 16.5 centimetres. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to stamp the branches, and what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to take my card base and my Whisper White, and I'm going to use some temporary adhesive and adhere that on there. We don't make a temporary adhesive, but you could use snail, and when you put the snail on there, just put your finger on it 2 or 3 times to take some of the sticky off, or you may already have your own temporary adhesive. And I'm just going to pop this right in the centre and hopefully straight. Right, what I'm doing here is I'm looking at my grid lines here, making sure that I've got the same gap all the way along there, that is coming off about there in that line and that line. So that looks as if it's, oh, should have pressed it down first, and it looks as if I have got a mark on there. Oh dear, let's start again. This always makes me think of marzipan. There we go, got rid of that. Okay, let's try again. Let's line that up again. Move it back a bit, that's going down too far, not leaving enough of a gap. That looks about right. This time press it down. Okay, now the stamp set I'm using is one that Stampin' Up! Have brought forward from last year, which I'm really pleased about because it's one of my favourites. It's called Christmas Pines. The stamp that I'm using for the fern is this one, for the fir branches rather, and these are the ones for the fir cones. Okay, so if I say the triangle, the one with the triangle patterns on, I mean that one or that one. It's the same whichever one you use, and the one that looks like a pineapple is that one and that one. Okay, and also I'm using the sentiment from here as well, which is Christmas Blessings. This comes with a coordinating set of dies, which is called Pretty Pines, and the only one that I'm using is this one. With this set, you've got these fancy cut dies that will cut out patterns, but it will only work on the large pines. Okay, and that's the plain one for the large pine cone, and you get a plain one for the small one as well. But you get a selection of others. This is where the branches came from inside that card that I wasn't very happy with. Okay, so it's a lovely set. Right, so what I have is, that's the one with the branches on it, and I'm using old olive ink, and I really do suggest that you make sure that your ink pad is really nice and juicy. So I'm just going to put a piece of scrap paper underneath. Now I know to get this design here, this first stamp has got to be coming off up here somewhere. And what I'm going to do is I want straight branches because that's where I'm hanging my pine cones from. Okay, so the first one is going to be coming off from about there. Obviously you can do yours in any pattern you want yours to be. But when you ink this up, do watch the stamp to make sure you get ink over all of it, because this stamp is, if you put it in the wrong position, it won't all be touching the ink pad. That's one of the things I found on one, and I tried to put it right, but I didn't. I made it worse, so I had to start again. Right, okay, so the top is going off the top of my cardstock here, and I'm getting a nice straight line here. And I'm going to give that a good press. You will find that you'll have a little bit of a white line where your stamp is going over the bump here, where you've got two different cardstocks. One cardstock on top of another one rather. Okay, you can see the little white line that I've got across there. That's okay because it will be covered up once this goes over it. Now the next stamp, I will just double check before I do this. This branch is coming off about 1/8 of an inch in. Okay, and I assume that must have been the top of the branch. Yes, looks like it. So let's do that again. Again, making sure that all of the stamp gets inked up. Oops. Oh, I thought I just touched that, but I didn't. Right, so I'm going to make it come off about 1/4 of an inch in, and I'm making sure this comes down straight, and it should go off at the edge. Let me just put that there so you can see it. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to achieve. Not too close though. Turn it sideways. I think that should be about right. I wouldn't have turned that sideways had I just been doing this on my own. It's just that I don't want to lean my head forward, so you get a camera full of hair, a screen full of hair rather. There we go. That's quite similar. I think it's almost in line with that one, and that one's, yes, very good. Happy about that. So what I'm going to do next is take this off, remove my temporary adhesive from the back here, more marzipan, I'll just leave that one there for a minute, and this one, I imagine that I could probably leave this glue on there. I don't know what happens to it over time, which is why I do prefer to take it off, just in case. I can't imagine what it would do, but there you go. Now the next one I'm going to do is I'm going to do the sentiment at the bottom here, and that's here. Now on this I need to have my grid paper in view. I've made sure that I've lined my stamp up really nice and straight, so I know as long as I've got this straight with a line here, then I can put my block down and line up with the line down here, and then it will be straight. That's the theory. Right, let's ink it up again. There we go. Now I'm going to pull this down closer because I can hardly see. I don't want to... I don't know why we're obsessed about not putting our heads in the camera. I mean, it's not that bad. Right. Do I want to go up a little bit? I think that's about straight. Go for it. Go on, be brave. There we go. Done it. There we go. It's all right. Yeah, that's good. Right, let's move that one out of the way. Now I'm just going to pop these together. No, I'm not. I'm going to do this other one, aren't I? For the inside of my card. Now on here I've written top because I used this one earlier on and I didn't like it. So I want to reuse this, and if I do it on the inside of the card, that's where my stamping's going to go, so it's going to cover it up. Okay, so let's do that one. Let me just remind myself on this one, isn't it, what I did with this. Quite a lot of it came off in the corner there. Not too fussy about this, as long as I leave enough space for the writing. Now, what did I do with the stamp? Here it is. And the ink, which I'd moved out of the way because I thought I'd finished. Just make sure that you have inked it all up properly. Now I'm going to twist it around like this so that the branch comes down. I must have taken that quite a long way down, seeing how far this comes over. Right, let's go for it. It may be the same. On the other hand, it may be different. But whatever, it is going to be fine. There we go. That's good. Happy with that. Okay, so now let's put these together. Let's move you out of the way. So I'm using Tombow. You can use fast fuse or tear and tape, whatever your choice is. And you'll find you've got a nice little border. with the sizes that I've given you. Let's move that out of the way. I do like working on a clean work surface. Right, now I'm going to put this on the front of my card. Now as you're doing this, you're trying to line up your branches with the branches that you have here. And this is how you will cover up that little white line. Obviously you're watching to make sure you've got the same gap all the way around, which is what will help you to get this straight. I think that's okay. Okay, so that one's good to let it get a grip. And this one, bring my other bit of old olive back again. And it looks as if I've got a little bit of ink on there. I do have an eraser that will remove that. I don't know if you've heard about it or you've ever seen it. My good friend Geraldine in Canada, she told me about it. It's made by Tombow, and it's a sand and rubber eraser for ink and pencil. And if you've just got little marks like that, it will take it off. I don't know if you can even see it, can you? Okay. If you've done a big splodge, do what I did and get yourself a new piece of paper. But something small like that, I will be able to remove it. Oh, I haven't done all this yet, have I? And then centre this. And again, I'm watching my grid paper here and here to try and get straight lines. There we go, so that's that and that. Now I need my pine cones. So I'm bringing in soft suede and crumb cake ink, and you need a piece of scrap for this because you'll be stamping off. I have my 3 stamps here. As I say, I've got all my cones ready over there, so I'm only going to do one to show you what I do with it. I'm sure you don't want to sit here watching me do 4 of these things. So first of all, I'm going to start off with soft suede, and I'm going to use the stamp that I call the triangle stamp. Okay. What I need to do, let's get some cardstock, that would help, wouldn't it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to ink the stamp up, stamp it off gently, and then stamp on here. When I stamp on here, you'll see exactly what this pattern is. I think you can see it okay on the screen, but just in case you can't, you will see a definite pattern on there. Okay, so just ink it up very gently, stamp it off, and then stamp down onto your cardstock. Okay, so that's what you get. That's why I call it triangles. And that will help you line up the rest. So if we put that away, after having got some on my finger, now we move to the crumb cake. Now we're going to use a stamp that looks like a pineapple. And let me just stamp that down there so that you can actually see what that looks like. Okay, so that's the second one. No stamping off on this one though. I'm going for the full Monty. And you will find it is easy to line up these diamonds, because yeah, we call these diamonds. Line these diamonds up on the triangles, because as you go over you can line these ones up. If you go for the centre ones here, I find it a lot easier than trying to line up the edges, but if you go for the central ones there, it's quite easy to do, as long as you can get your head over. Can you still see that? I don't want to take that down too low. Right. I think that's okay. Yes, there we go. So that's what that one should look like. Okay, so you've now got a diamond that's dark at the top, light at the bottom. And then this one is a full stamp. And you just position that all over. And give it good press so that it does actually stamp all over. There we go. So that's what that looks like. It does dry a little bit lighter than that. So you need to do 4 of those in whichever size you like yours done. And then you need to die cut it. So let me just bring my big shot up. Let's get that out of the way. But I'm going to cut that off so I can face it towards me. Okay, so die cutting it is quite straightforward. As long as you don't get a die that's in the mood for jumping, which you shouldn't do because it's quite a big one. Right, let's see if that will do it. Okay, so get all 4 die cut. And if you're like me, you like a little bit of sparkle, you want to go over that with Wink of Stella. You may want to do that before you die cut. Okay. I don't know if that shows up on screen or not. Oh yes, it does, yes. Plenty. I've just re-inked this, which is why it's come out really very, very sparkly. I missed a bit there. Right, okay. Now, all mine are ready here. And I've got 2 small, 3 large. Inside is definitely going to be a large one. So that's that one without the dimensionals on it. Right, so what I thought was I'd like to have one like that, and then the 2 small ones, a little one there, and oh, not painted that one, a little one like that. Or do I want that up there? How did I lay my others out? Let's bring these back so I can have a look. Alright, okay, with the little one that was going over that way. Then there was one there and one there. Do I want to do that one? similar, isn't it? Because the branches are quite close. I think I'm going to do that. Let me just show you what it looks like with the 3 big ones. I like to tilt them a bit as if there's a bit of a breeze going. In fact, I quite like that one as well. I used to be indecisive, but now I'm not so sure. I think I'm going to stick to the 2 big ones, the 3 big ones rather. Oh, I wish I could hear you. I know some of you are shouting out, "No, Jan, don't do it, don't do it." Well, I look forward to reading your comments underneath the video once you've seen this, and tell me whether I made the right decision in your mind. How should we do this one? Straight? Alright, you can be straight. Tilt it a bit. Okay, so that's that. Yep, I quite like that. And then we need some bows, and I've used this baker's twine I found in the drawer, and I think it's cherry cobbler, not a colour that we do at the moment, but if I didn't have this, then I would have had a look to see if I've got some olive green or white, although I might even have thought about doing the linen thread. In fact, that would look quite nice. But this is a colour I've been using, so I've done a bunny ears bow, but again I've done all those that I need, so you don't have to sit and watch me do 4 of them. Okay, so that's that, and just cut the ends off. I'll tidy up the length afterwards. Right, so I've done that bit. I'm going to use Tombow to adhere mine on. The other sensible way of doing this is using glue dots, but you'd need to roll the glue dot up to make it a bit smaller, because otherwise you'd be able to see it would show from underneath here, whereas Tombow, if it's visible, it would just go shiny, but the glue dot would stay sticky too. Okay, let's try this one. It doesn't take long for Tombow to get a grip of this. Just give it a press and hold it for a few seconds. There we go. I'll come back and trim the ends off in a moment. Now, what did I do with mine that was... That's it. Yep, and I've done the wink of Stella on it. Oh, good grief. That is far too thick. So what I do in a case like this, you may have seen me do this before, but I just take whatever it is I've put too much glue on and I blot it off on a piece of paper. But do make sure that you cover that up straight away. If you're anything like me, you'll put something straight on top of that. Right, there we go. And our last bow, a little bit of Tombow, tiny, tiny little dot. Oh, had an air bubble there. I'll put this one on. And that's come out a little bit quicker than I'd like it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that down, and then I'm just laying my tweezers flat and I'm going to rub it, or at least pull it across the glue. Although it will dry shiny, I don't want to have that bigger bit, that large amount of shine. There we go. Okay, that's good. I'm happy with that. I'll come back and trim that one off once that's dried. So just trim these off. And something I've never thought about, but I heard somebody say this on her YouTube, on one of her YouTube videos, and that is whenever you cut the tails off of ribbons, never cut them shorter than the actual curly bit of the bow. Never thought about it. I don't tend to, but it wasn't a conscious thing. Okay, so there we go. That's that one. Let's see if I can just quickly cut this one as well. There we go. So there's today's project. I hope you like it. Thank you very much for watching my video. If you have any comments, please leave them in the box below the video. I'm always happy to read what you say and answer any questions that you may have. Also, if you would like to purchase any of the products that I featured here today, except I'm afraid from the Baker's Twine, which is a remnant from whenever, there'll be a link for my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop in the box below. I'd really appreciate your business. And if you've enjoyed my video and you would like to be notified each time I upload another one, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button. But I understand now you also have to click another bit to say that you want to receive the notifications. And finally, also in the box below with my link for my shop, there'll also be all the products that I've used, the product codes, and also the measurements of everything that I've done here. Depending on which device you're watching on, you may see below under the writing towards the left hand side it'll say show more, which you need to click on and it'll open everything up, or there'll be two arrows on the right hand side and you need to click on one of those to open up and you'll see everything there. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.